Good evening, America. Someone is going to say something anti-Semitic to you. Someone is going to say something anti-Muslim to you. Someone is going to say something anti to you, and you're going to freeze. Not because you're dumb, because the lie is designed to make you freeze. I'm not going to give you a history tonight of anti-Semitism, anti-Catholic, anti-Muslim. That's not my goal. I'm here tonight to give you a hack. That's what everyone calls them. They call them hacks, but really a cheat code. Anti-Semitism runs on 5 tricks. And by the way, so does anti-TikTokers, anti-Muslims, anti-Catholics. Any group, any individual out to get us to join them to hate, use the same 5 tricks. If you can learn these tricks, you'll never get played again. You ready? Let's go. Arguing doesn't work, right? You've tried to argue with people about TikTok, and it's not a bad thing, or that the media isn't a bad thing, or screen time isn't a bad thing. So arguing about anti-Semitism with someone, it just doesn't work. So you pull out facts, you double down, you stay calm, they call you defensive, you get annoyed, and you call them aggressive. The game is rigged if you play it their way. Remember David and Goliath? They put all the armor on David. He faced Goliath, and he said, I can't do this. I can't fight on Goliath's terms. I can only fight as David, and I have my sling. And he defeated Goliath. So don't anyone who promotes or wants to point a finger or talk about hate or blame, no arguing, don't get loud, because we're all going to be Davids. We're not going to fight on their terms. We're not going to play their game. A vaccine doesn't fight a virus by arguing with it. It builds resistance before the virus arrives. And that's what we're going to be doing this evening. I'm going to show you some tricks, some hacks, just enough to see it. So next time it shows up, your brain will already know. Take any problem. Oh, something just popped up I want to decline. There we go. Take any problem. Insert Jew as the hidden cause. Insert black as the hidden cause. Insert the Pope. Insert Catholic. These hacks, these clues work for everything. Now, as a rabbi, and with the rise of anti-Semitism, I'm focusing on Jews. However, I want you to know that you can insert anyone. The market crashed, it's the Democrats' fault. The market crashed, it's the Jews' fault. Culture wars, it's the Jews' fault. Culture wars, it's the media's fault. Culture wars, it's TikTok's fault. Crime, obviously it's the blacks. Obviously the Jews are behind it. Obviously the Haitians are behind it. The villain is always the same, regardless of the problem. And therein lies the tell. Real analysis changes its answer based on the evidence. But conspiracy templates never change the answer. The answer is always decided in advance. It's the group that individual wants us to hate. It's the group that the individual wants us to focus on. Okay? Our second tell. The proof is always a pattern somebody noticed. Not coordination, not evidence, just look. A lot of Jewish people work in finance. Suspicious, right? A lot of black people are involved in crime. Suspicious, right? A lot of athletes are involved in bribery and fixing games. Suspicious, right? I notice that a lot of tall people play basketball. Is big basketball running a secret height recruitment program? Patterns are not proof. Patterns are not proof. And so when you see Jews are identified behind whatever it is, blacks are identified behind whatever it is, the Y generation, the X generation are behind, ask one question. Is there any actual evidence of coordination, or just a pattern someone decided means something? Correlation does not mean causation. You can correlate anything in the known universe. We have to be careful not to fall for causation. Okay? We're talking about patterns, a template, but the villain is always preloaded when they talk to us. Always. Okay? That's the conspiracy frame. Here, Generation Z will cleanse the universe. Hello. Okay, trick number 2, or hack number 2. I don't even know why it's called a hack, but I see that all over TikTok and other places. I guess it's hacking, I don't know. This one hides behind fairness. Really sneaky, a really sneaky one. It works like this. Jews or Israel, blacks, Catholic, or the Pope, Haitians, foreigners. Fill in the blank. So it works like this. Jews or Israel got hold of a standard that literally no one else is held to. And when Jews meet that standard, the standard moves. Let's test the question. It's really simple. Would I say this about any other group in the same situation? The answer is no. It's not a criticism. That's targeting dressed up as a criticism. Okay? So, if I say blacks do this, Jews do that, Catholics do that, if I take out the group that the person is talking about and substituted white men, Republicans, Democrats, left-handed people, would that apply to other groups? You'll see that it won't. You'll see that it won't on this hack or trick. Oh, look at the paper. That Jew is successful. It's proof of wrongdoing. That black committed a crime. Blacks commit crimes. Hispanics do this. Same thing. A Jewish person in power? That's very suspicious. A black person in power? Well, they got that job because they're black. That's suspicious. A wealthy? Oh, that person must be Jewish. They must be manipulating something. So when anyone else succeeds, it's talent, it's hard work, it's luck. So we have to watch out for that. Oh, that person just had good luck. That was a very talented white man, or that was a very talented whatever it might be. But it becomes very suspicious if you leave in the accusation that it was Jewish, Haitian, Hispanic, or an immigrant. Okay? So you want to watch out for that. Or the achievement gets reframed as evidence of a conspiracy. So let's see the flip. You don't have to defend every Jewish person or every Israeli policy. You don't have to defend every black person, every immigrant, every Catholic. The goal's not to defend anyone. You just have to apply the same standard you'd apply to everyone else. That's all I'm asking. Would this be true of Baptists? Would this be true of Presbyterians? That's the move. That's all you have to do. Hack 3, or trick number 3, a fake quote. Or more precisely, a real quote ripped out of context. In scholarship, we call that cherry picking. Instead of taking an entire verse, you take the 2 words, the 3 words, you take the whatever you need, and you present it. You don't keep it in context, and you don't give the whole background or put it in the history. You don't do anything. I'm calling it a fake quote, but it's cherry picking. Someone pulls a line from the Talmud, an historical document, something uncensored, and says, see, this proves what Jews secretly believe. This proves what blacks are really doing. This proves what Democrats are fostering. This proves what the Republicans are doing. That's what it is. And it's cherry picking. It's taking a line or 2 words or 3 words. Here's the thing. If you would like, I can make the Bible sound like a murder manual if I cherry pick the right verses. Any text, any speech, any tweet. I can take Old Testament, New Testament, I can take the Quran. In fact, send me an email, RabbiBlock@hotmail.com. Someone just proved that to me by taking something out of No, the Talmud never says Goyim can be raped or whatever nonsense. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you for bringing up an example of pulling a line from Talmud and wanting to make it sound like. But let's do this. RabbiBlock@hotmail.com. You send me what you want me to prove using sacred literature, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, but you have to specify, and I will present the passages that prove whatever you want. One isolated quote, someone just did that, no context, treated as proof of what millions of people believe today. That's your tell. When someone starts doing that, you know they're trying to hook you, okay? You don't need to know the source to clock this. Just say, what's the context? Not the quote. What's the context? Now, who else reads this the way you're telling me? And why is this the one line in your whole argument? Why do you keep throwing it at me here? Give me some more information of why Jews are bad, or why Jews this, or why there's a Catholic conspiracy. Look what the Pope's doing. There's a Catholic conspiracy to take over the United States. In fact, I heard that Pope Leo was going to run for president. Mark my words. Quotes are props, and it pops up all the time on TikTok. The quote isn't any hack. Trick number 4, observation number 4. I live in the nation's capital, not in a state. Someone just asked me what state I live in. The District of Columbia. Moving the goalpost. One of my favorites, moving the goalpost. Jews assimilate too much, losing their identity. Jews stay separate. They're clannish. They don't integrate. Jews are too powerful, dangerous. Jews have no power. They're worthless. Blacks, Hispanics, Haitians. We can come up with those, and you keep moving the goal. Whatever that group does, whatever Jews do, it's wrong. They're losing their identity. They're too clannish. Chinese are losing their, oh, they're too clannish. Vietnamese, they're too powerful. Oh, they're worthless. You watch the goal keep changing. The criticism flips to fit the moment. Real criticism has a standard you can actually meet. Goalpost tricks don't. The complaint changes to make sure you always lose. Whatever you say, the person you're dealing with is going to change the goal, is going to flip it like I just did. Too clannish, not clannish enough. Too powerful, not powerful enough. Whatever it might be, it keeps flipping. It keeps changing. Spot it by asking, what would Jews have to do for this person to be satisfied? If the answer is nothing, or the answer keeps changing, it's not a criticism, it's a trap. Again, start by asking, what would a black person have to do for the person I'm addressing to be satisfied? Nothing. Because whatever I say, they're going to come up with something because the answer keeps changing. Hack 5, I've kind of lost track. Trick 5, internal guilt. Okay? Something happened, real or imagined, centuries ago, ages ago, and it gets applied to every Jewish person alive today. Something like inherited guilt. Okay? Germans aren't collectively guilty for Nazis. The present generation is teaching and education had nothing to do with it. Italians don't carry the Holy Roman Empire. But anti-Semitism says Jewish guilt has no expiration date, and hating blacks has no expiration date. Whatever may have happened before we were born, before we came into this universe, doesn't matter when it was, that's something we want to watch for. Okay? Would I hold any other group responsible for what their ancestors did hundreds of years ago? The Vikings, robbing and pillaging. So does that mean every person from Norway should be held responsible? Of course not. There's your answer. Watch out for that trap of eternal guilt, as if you are responsible for something that was done 100 years, 50 years, 20 years before you were born. You're not responsible. Yet, that's all the time. That's one of the anti-Semitic, anti-Black, anti-Catholic, anti-French, anti-Native American. You can see I'm focusing not specifically on Jews. I keep mentioning anti-Semitism and Jews. However, I want you to realize this is really universal. And we can keep applying this. So ask, would I hold any other living person responsible for what their ancestors did? Or would I hold them responsible for what their ancestors didn't even do? So the answer is no. No one around is responsible for what may have happened in the Talmud or the Midrash or someone's imagination. Long ago, and it's past. I have a number 5 here. Number 5 hack, if you will, a trick. Conspiracy frame, the double standard. Okay? We've talked about decontextualized quote. That's a funny word, but you quote things out of context. You move the goalpost. You try to make eternal guilt. Every anti-Semitic claim runs through one of these 5. You don't have to argue. You don't have to win. You just have to see the trick, name it, and walk away. And again, I'm not talking about just anti-Semitism. You can apply it to attacks on TikTokers. Screen time is destroying our population. We have to ban anyone under the age of 12 from using screen time. We have to stop this. It's destroying society. And it follows the same 5 hacks, tricks I outlined. The double standard, conspiracy frame, quoting out of context, moving the goalpost, and eternal guilt. Again, I want us to see how we're being manipulated and not fall into it. So naming the trick really is the vaccine. Once you see it, you're not going to unsee it. And I would like to have some of you co-host with me so that you can bring up some of the things like this that you may have seen. I'm reading some of the comments that are... And someone said Germany still pays reparations to Holocaust survivors. That's absolutely right, because it's the same generation. We're not talking about 1,000 years ago. The people in Germany, their family, and many of them recognize what they did. So Germany has decided, but they're not paying reparations to my family. They're not doing it outside of what happened inside Germany. And that's really a very good example of what I'm talking about. They're not extending it. They're not saying it applies to all Jews in the known universe. What they do, and they know who the survivors are. The Nazis kept very detailed records. So they have the names of the families. They know their children. Everything's known. It's not vague. They're not going about blaming random Germans for doing something to my family. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because in this accusatory world, it's very random. It's not that specific. I think this is a very important topic, not just because of anti-Semitism, but because it's applied to Haitians, Hispanics, Blacks, Native Americans, anti-Jews. This same strategy to get us to hate those people, to vote against those people, to do something. And I just gave us, 5 hacks, 5 tricks to be on to look out for. And as soon as you see them, you go, wait a minute. They're quoting out of context. They're throwing things at me. They're moving the goalpost. No one can do that. They want me to feel guilty about something I had nothing to do with. And I'm very proud of what Germany has done, because they have stood up and said, this is what our country did to these people. They didn't include anyone else. They have the list. They didn't create a double standard. They didn't quote anything. They took the documentation. They took the individuals that wrote diaries, wrote what they did, and they said, we have to correct what our nation did recently, not 1,000 years ago, not 5,000 years ago, not 100 years ago. What just happened recently. And those of us as Jews don't blame Germans, because that would be what I'm talking about. We don't blame Germans who are alive today. They weren't Nazis. And maybe a grandfather or somebody was, but their country is teaching and making the reparations to the correct people. I have no problem with German cars. I have no problems with Germany. Nothing whatsoever. And as Jews, none of us do. None of us do. What about... I'm not sure what someone just wrote about poisoned. And there's a lot going on. No, I am not a political Zionist. I know everyone uses Zionist as synonymous with political Zionist. I am a spiritual, cultural Zionist who follows Achad Ha'am, which you've never heard of because everyone keeps promoting political Zionism. Israel is now a country. It's doing what it has to do politically. I don't vote. I'm not an Israeli citizen. Someone just said, I'm a Gentile, can I wear a yarmulke? If it's a positive identification, if it's something that's meaningful to you, there's no prohibition. There's no prohibition. And we want to watch out because it's not just anti-Semites that are using these techniques. Many Zionists, many politicians are using these same techniques to win us over to their side. And that's why I'm doing this presentation. So let's watch out for, let's be careful of the 5 tricks so that we don't get fooled in supporting someone or doing something that we really don't want. Thank you all very much for watching, and thank you for listening to this podcast. And email RabbiBlock@hotmail.com. I'm available.